Hi, you're with Scott. It's Battery Exhausted, my channel. It's Ganji Kid, my stream. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. Still using this little cheap USB mono mic until we can get a nice, powerful gaming PC that can run my audio interface and my array of lovely microphones. But yeah, hey. What we're doing today is the traditional sound check, so let's do that first. And today is the traditional sound check, so let's do that first. Oh, we've got a nice bit of reverb on that, haven't we? What is going on? One, two, 1, 2. I've only got one mic on this. And I don't know if you can hear the waves. I've got the waves in another window. And I don't know if you can hear the waves. I've got the waves in another window. Okay, so it does do something. But I'm still really reverby, aren't I? I'm coming through the desktop sound as well as the mic sound. That's what I think's happening. Check, check, 1, 2. Yeah, you see, that's better, isn't it? Yeah. So now let's see if we can get the waves on as well. No. So you can either have me in dual mic and reverb with the waves, or you can have just me, no background waves. I think we're going to go with just me, no background waves. Drop frames then for some reason. Okay, so this is going well so far. We're going to carry on as is then. I'll just mute my other window. See, the problem I've got is that I'm using a Mac, an old Mac, to stream, and not to get too complicated because I can't get too complicated on it. It doesn't allow me to. It doesn't see all the different audio devices separately. It has trouble with that. So you run another program to an aggregate to bring them all together so that it can see them and you can hear them. But it prevents me from having control over the different channels. It just brings them all into one. So you can either have... Actually, there's one other thing I could try. Let's try this. I'm going to go back to unmute. This won't work. Nope. Okay. So thanks for joining us on this stream. Thanks for enjoying the intro. We're going to kick off then. We're going to get the waves. You know, one of these days we'll get the waves, the background sound. We'll get that working one of these days. But in the meantime, you can open your own separate window with ocean ambience on a tropical island instead, I can either edit it into the videos or we can get it going another time. We're here today for an hour or so in the daytime to talk about some more prehistoric art, really. We got some interesting things thrown up at us yesterday when we were looking at prehistoric art, and one of them was this concept that really early timeline, 16,000 BC, paintings found in shallow caves in Arnhem Land in northern Australia of kangaroos, fish, and supernatural beings employ the so-called X-ray style, in which internal organs and bones are depicted. These images are among the earliest and most distinctive forms of Aboriginal art and continue to be produced today. So I thought that was really interesting. I just thought, what is going on? We're going to cover all of the art in art history, we're going to cover all that. But I wanted to take a few sidetracks here and there. And this is going to be one of them, isn't it? Because what is going on with these supernatural forms? Apparently I don't have access to this article, so I can't read this. But Australia and New Guinea formed a single landmass, and the prehistoric continent of Sahul until 8,000 years ago. The rising sea level separated them at the Torres Strait. This continent was first occupied at least 40,000 years ago by people who arrived by boat from Southeast Asia. So that's these original peoples that are travelling into there. Southeast Asia, boats, 40,000 years ago. Culture of the original inhabitants of Australia, such as rock art, sculpture in wood, clay, sand, body decoration, bark painting. So this is all going on a long time ago. This is where we got started with all this, at the prehistoric art of the Stone Age. You can check out that video on the old YouTubes. We've got some Aboriginal prehistoric art to look at. So I found this. I'm not really sure about this website and its validity, but it brought up something that's interesting. The Lost World of the Bradshaws. Don't know what Guan means. The Bradshaw paintings are incredibly sophisticated, yet they're not recent creations. They originate from an unknown past period, which some suggest could have been 50,000 years ago. And yesterday, I don't know if you remember, but we looked at a picture. There was these images of Aboriginal prehistoric art, and I saw a picture and I was like, this one doesn't, it looks too modern. And maybe it's a fake. It was one of these style. Of strange images. And it turns out they are the Bradshaw rock paintings. Let's make this nice and big. You got that? Got that nice and big, yeah? And they definitely depict sort of humanoid forms, don't they? But there's a kind of strange... There's a lot of strange things going on. There's a kind of strange head shape or hat. Is that hair that's been tied back? There's definitely adornment to these figures. And there's some stuff going on, isn't there? There's some stuff going on. Supernatural is a descriptive word that has been levied. So we'll just have a couple of pictures and then we'll go to something to talk more, to find out more. Here's another one of these figures. Lots going on, isn't there? Lots going on. The Bradshaw rock paintings. Here's another one that I found to be kind of delightful. Movement, dance, Or is this combat? War? I don't know. Really, really interesting stuff, isn't it? And this one I used as a thumbnail. So we're going to jump to the Wikipedia of this. The Barnet River is a river in Kimberley in Western Australia. The river rises below the Caroline Range. Aboriginal rock art in Winnamurra Gorge, Barnet River. That's what we're up to. That's what we want to look at. I mean, you can see why they've been described as supernatural. Can't you? It's just bizarre, isn't it? It's, what are they? Are they images of folklore, or are they depictions of a people? There's definitely something humanoid about them, isn't there? You can definitely see the eyes and the nose sort of thing. But they're almost skull-like. Yeah, I can zoom that. And we can get a big looky. So interesting, isn't it? And this is, 50,000 years old, so we don't have like much to go on. Maybe we'll find out more. Maybe there will turn out to be traditional interpretations of these. Maybe they were just somebody, messing about. Maybe they're just, doing some designs. But quite interesting, isn't it? The repeated image of these. I mean, they appear to be some kind of like, are they glowing? Have they got fur on them? Is that supposed to be hair? Something going on around the eyes? Are they things they're wearing on their faces? Or are they the actual faces? That's Aboriginal. That is. Along this river in Western Australia. The northern part there. And let me find. Oops, I just closed one of my windows then. Might have needed that. See, I had a window where I had more stuff that we could... Let's just go this way then. Aboriginal prehistoric art. Supernatural figures. Let's type that. Okay, this one's talking about it, ancient origins, stuff like that. I mean, we're just clicking random internet webby sites here, so I can't guarantee the validity. They want my consent to use my personal data. I don't want to do that. Let's manage the options. Legitimate. I just don't want anything, thanks. If you could just turn everything off. Just F everything off. It just makes life easier, doesn't it? Let's submit that. We'd like to send you notifications. No, you no. So I'm not very happy with Ancient Origins website already, but let's see what they say. Because they're talking about these specific images that we've just been looking at. Shamanic explorations of supernatural realms. Cave art, the earliest folklore. The neuropsychological and ethnographic evidence that I've adduced. Oh, we've got another one of these people that likes to use long words in their writing. I mean, David Lewis Williams didn't write this whole thing, so maybe it's not going to be that. The neuropsychological and ethnographic. So we're talking about people, their place in the world and time, their culture, cultural, and neuropsychological. So, like, to do with your thinking, isn't it? To do with thoughts. The evidence I've adduced. I'm just gonna have to copy and paste that. Did I enjoy Ancient Origins? Look, get out of my face. I need a new page. I want to find out what adduced means. Adduced, Merriam-Webster, Cambridge. I like the Oxford Dictionary, but it's not there. We'll just go with this one. Cambridge. They value my privacy, so that's nice. To give reasons why you think something is true. None of the evidence adduced in court was conclusive. Given. So it means about giving evidence that I think is true. It doesn't mean that it's definitely true. It means I'm going to give you my opinion. It means my opinion, doesn't it? I'm adducing opinions, but I believe them to be true. That's adduce anyway. We learned that. So David Lewis Williams suggests, he's like, the evidence I've seen strongly suggests that that in these subterranean that in these subterranean images, underground images, God man, just get to the point. We have an ancient and unusually explicit expression of a complex shamanic experience that is formed by altered states of consciousness. Complex experience that's informed. Complex shamanic experience. He thinks that these ancient Aboriginals got really high and painted this stuff that's related to their experience and culture and brains. That's not even telling us anything, is it? We know that somebody got down there and painted that stuff. Are they high? Well, it's possible, isn't it? It's possible, but that's only little now, that picture, isn't it? Where are we going? It's possible that they were high. I mean, I don't know. Let's see what they say. Because it's offering some explanation, even if you want to, discuss it and argue about it. Hey chat, I just noticed we've got the chat popping off in chat. I can't find the window. Oh, I've lost my chat window. I'm going to order a new monitor, I'm going to order a new monitor, like a second monitor. There's my chat. Higher. Turn it all off, yeah. Yeah, good. I'm glad we're in agreement there. Great minds think alike. But fools rarely differ, so what we're going to do. Nice to have you here again. Nice to have you here. And check out the Onyx Gamer on YouTube. We've got review videos. He can put his own link in the chat, I don't mind. I'm getting confused now because I'm trying to talk about prehistoric things. Look, about 35,000 years ago, and this is good because this will come up one day and you'll be like, boom, got this information right in my brain. Don't know how I remember that, but I do. About 35,000 years ago, there was an explosion of symbolism in the Paleolithic human culture around the world. Yeah, we know that. We learned that yesterday. Come on, mate, keep up. This cave art is usually located in hard-to-access caves. The fact is, many of the beings represented in the cave art have a supernatural quality, symptomatic of what we might call folklore. Okay. It feels to me like this page is just trying to write all the different words that will come up in tags so that it'll come up first on YouTube searches, Google searches, Ecosia searches, and then sell you all this other crap from their adverts. It doesn't feel like a real substantial website, but let's carry on. Pictorial evidence exhibited throughout the Paleolithic world, yeah, blah, blah, blah. We've seen it. We want to know about the specific. Gets down to there and it's read more. So they don't really answer the question. They've got a picture of it. They've got a quote about it. And then they just don't tell you anything. So ancient origins, reconstructing the story of humanity's past is rubbish. Pure rubbish. Gonna get rid of that. Rubbish. I'm surprised there's not more, written about it. I'm going to go to my favourite. This is my favourite website at the moment. The visualartscork.com. Apart from their repeated intrusion of adverts. Australian Aboriginal rock art may be the oldest Stone Age art on the planet. The possibility is supported by the studies of Professor Stephen Oppenheimer. Stephen Oppenheimer, I've heard of him, whose research combines genetic analysis with climatology, archaeology, fossil analysis, and modern dating methods. In any event, human occupation in Australia has been carbon dated to at least 53,000 BC. Fair enough. We keep finding out that it's old. That's cool. That's cool. Ceremonial figure from the late Tassel Bradshaw style, Kimberley, Western Australia. Bradshaws, now called Gwian art, are amongst the most sophisticated forms of cave painting in Australia. So that's come up again, the Bradshaws. I'm looking for an explanation of the Bradshaws. That's what I'm looking at. Characteristics. Aboriginal art encompasses figure painting as well as forms of abstract art. The X-ray drawings come up again, so I'd like to see some X-ray drawings. So we've got Bradshaw's and X-ray drawings, dating, human chronology, Sydney rock engravings collections. So I'm looking for, and this, okay, I'm going to get Google out for once because Google's broken. I was going to do a video about this, but I'm saying it now. Google is broken, yeah? You want to answer some specific question, you type it into Google. That's the whole point. Oh, bucking doggy. Doggy's bucking. Just switching up to the big face because I'm going to be typing into my Google thing and it's going to be showing everyone on the internet what I type in. I'm a bit scared of that. Only for, data protection. Look, anyway, I'm going to Google what I want to find out, which is the meaning of Aboriginal Bradshaw paintings. Right? Boom. Well, it eco-sied it. It didn't eco-sied it, so let's copy that into Google. So, whoops. And then Google. Yeah, do you know what? I don't use this computer for looking at anything naughty. It's just that it might come up with my bank details or something idiotic like that, and a noob streamer like me might ruin their life by accident. So we're going to fade back to the old big pictures. Yeah, here we are. So I've asked Google specifically for what I want, and it may be that it tells me the meaning of these Aboriginal paintings, but what's more likely is that it's got these other suggestions, right? Now, this is how Google works, isn't it? It's going to push you the most popular thing, and it might not be the answer to what you want. Like the other day, I wanted to know the efficacy of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine after a week, and we'll just do this quickly because I'm going to fade my face because this is one that I know will work. Efficacy of Oxford vaccine after 1 week. Right, fade me back. Little detour now, little mental detour because this is how my brain works. So I wanted to know the efficacy of the Oxford vaccine after 1 week, right? But because Google has got absolutely loads of these articles that are being pushed up the search option thing that don't offer me the answer. This one here, I did click, what's the evidence for extending, and it's about 70% protection after the first dose, 12-week boost interval. It's always talking about intervals between the vaccines. It offers 100% protection after a first dose with an interdose interval of 12 weeks. And these words, these keywords, week, vaccine, Oxford efficacy, they're all coming up. So Google's bringing me these correct things, but they're not answering my question. It's telling me 22 days after the vaccination, 90 days after the vaccination. That's not what I want to know. I want to know one specific piece of data, the efficacy of the Oxford vaccine after 1 week. And what it brings me is a million websites that don't answer the question directly, that all feature the keywords. Most of these are, the top searched: AstraZeneca, British Medical Journal. Great, they're great. And through those websites, I was able to find out my answer through my own research by finding the actual data from the Oxford AstraZeneca trials and interpreting it myself, and it turned out that there was no data for a week. They didn't start recording the efficacy of the vaccine after the first week. They started after 10, 12 days. So there's no data for it. So the answer is we don't know what the efficacy is after 1 week of one dose. But you can't have that as an answer for your Google. You know, Google's supposed to be the best search engine in the world, isn't it? It's supposed to be this oracle that answers your questions. You can't have your question answered unless it's the most popular question, unless it's the the most searched for question that's going to be pumped up the search engine. So that annoys me about Google now. It used to be a lot more specific. It used to give you a lot more variety in the content that it was suggesting, but it's homogenized that a lot. It doesn't want to suggest, it's got 11,000 results here, so I suppose I could be wading through more of them, but it doesn't want to suggest all the crap to you. And there's so much crap as well, because look, now we're here 10 pages down or whatever, 7 pages down, you've got crap like The Sun printing just garbage just to keep themselves up in the media circle, just reprinting other people's data that you can find elsewhere, or just garbage. Time, The Atlantic, all these news media, they just, something gets published, they just republish it, and it becomes a page on their website as well, which goes on this huge list of 100 million pages, all just garbage, all saying the same thing. None of them answering the question that I want to answer. So yeah, that's Google for you now. So the meaning of Aboriginal Bradshaw paintings. Are we going to find out the meaning? We've got creative spirits. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And we've got that other website I looked at earlier. It's called Convict Creations. It's a bit of a, silly name. Australia for Everyone. Some conversations about these Bradshaw paintings. So we'll have a look. Here's one. Bradshaw rock paintings meaning. So this does help. It does help me Google finally. But it's not come up at the top, has it? It's not the top answer to my question, even though that is my question. I'm going to stop moaning about Google now. I'm going to stop moaning about Google. I mean, I'm using it. I shouldn't be using it. Oh my God, look. Look at that. Not only was I using Google, I was using Firefox, and turns out I am the lucky winner. This is not a scam. Do not adjust your set. Right? This cannot be a scam, could it? Because of course companies like Firefox want to put out a prize. Like why Firefox awarding prizes for number of searches, right? Here's 5 billion. Somebody else won a Samsung. I could choose my prize. Look, they're hidden. So it's exciting. These are the recent winners. Look, Richard there. That's a picture of Richard, apparently. So part of me really, really wants to click on this. Part of me really wants to click on it. Just because it's content, isn't it? It's interesting. We'll find out what happens when not only did I mention online just a few moments ago about not wanting to display my public details, like my bank details or my automatic login or whatever, I can now be scammed for real, live. There's that Kit Boga channel. He's really good. Kit Boga. He's clever on the old computer, so you can set up a fake computer on his desktop and do the scams and not damage himself, and actually scam the scammers. So that's quite cool. I don't know if you've ever seen Kit Boga, but we need Kit Boga on this, because I've not made the 5 billionth search. I mean, maybe it heard me. Maybe, Google heard me complaining and wants to reward me. But there's a problem here, right? The problem is it wants me to leave. Yeah, I'm gonna leave. Let's leave that page. Can we go back? What's this? I can't even go back. What was I even searching for? I was searching for the meaning of the Bradshaw paintings, and I've ended up being selected by Google to be among the first few persons to win an iPhone. and it's exclusively for you loyal users in Royal Leamington Spa, and it must assume that I live in Royal Leamington Spa, which I don't. So it's even got my address wrong. But then, it could be real, couldn't it? We could. Should I click OK? No, I'm not going to click OK. This window is going down the flusher. We're going to flush. I wish I had a sound effects board. I could flush this window so quick. It's going to have to go, isn't it? We're going to have to just disappear it. Bye-bye, window. That's a shame. We didn't get the answers about Aboriginal art, and we didn't win our prize. But we didn't lose everything out of my PayPal account, so that's good. All $4. Right. That was Google for us. Google tried to rip us off, didn't it? Smelly old Google. So we're going to Ecosia, and we're asking Ecosia, 515 trees I've planted. We're going to look for the Bradshaw rock paintings through the prism of Ecosia. We're getting nowhere. Oh, wait, we're getting nowhere. I thought this would just be a little add-on to yesterday's art history. We just have a little look at the Aboriginal paintings. That's what I thought. I thought we'd just have a little look at these Aboriginal rock paintings, that would bring up a website, that it'd give us some theories, some interesting ideas. We'd learn something about ancient Aboriginal culture, something that explained some of the symbology, and maybe, because often with these things, right, there's I'm gonna have to go back. My brain is just, this is a daytime stream, isn't it? Where I've got no nothing holding or limiting my brain to one directional path. So I just want to show you Göbekli Tepe for a minute, and then talk about concepts and ideas. I can't even spell it, but Göbekli Tepe. Right, so there's this place, Göbekli Tepe, and there's a man on the internet who reckons that this is proof, it's evidence, proof. His name's Graham something. Joe Rogan had him on. Joe, I believe anything anyone tells me, and therefore I'll present it to you like it could be credible evidence on the internet, and millions of suggestible people will listen to it and try and disseminate what's factual from what's absolute nonsense from this complete spectrum of thinkers and ideas, booksellers, right? So he's had this guy on, and this guy's like, yeah, Göbekli Tepe, it's probably aliens. Somehow I've managed to find some kind of foreign language. I mean, I think this is Spanish, could be Portuguese. So Göbekli Tepe, io topo di una collina onde foi incontrado santuario no ponto mais alto di incantamiento montanoso que forma a porsa, it might be Italian, a forma a porsa mais a sudestre de Montes Toro, approximatamente 15 kilometers, a nordeste, I think this is Italian, to the north of somewhere in Turkey, right? And what it is it's ancient rocks. They're carved out, discovered, done the old Indiana Jones archaeology on this. They've dug them up and they've found them, and they're old. And here's the but, right? These rocks are not just normal rocks. When you have a look through them with the modern technology, they've not got things in them that normal rocks have, like tiny imperfections, fossils, random bits of other like material. It's almost as if these rocks are like formed in some way, and some of them are so big. It's a bit like I'm going to get another picture, because I'm sure we'll get another picture of this. A bit like Stonehenge or something. Like, people are like, oh, this can't be explained. It can't be explained that humans back then could not have done this, right? There's one. They've got some heads. There's also a lot of imagery involved of these dudes with the heads, with the beards and the hats. They're around a lot. And there's you see them up in the background of this picture. The idea is that they're smooth and they fit together a bit like Tetris pieces. Tetraminos. That's what you call a Tetris piece, a tetramino. A bit like Tetris pieces. They fit together. And so it's impossible. You can't carve these and then fit them together. Like humans cannot have done this. And this guy then goes on to make this mad leap that he's like, this Graham fella, he's like, okay, so this is beyond my understanding of rock sculpture. Yeah, I'm not an expert on rock sculpture. Me, Scott, is not an expert on rock sculpture, but nor is Graham. Right, Graham's interested in like history and old stuff, so he can't explain this through his limited knowledge. Yeah, so he's like, right, the next step is aliens. Like, it's definitely aliens. Like these headed hatty men with the beards, they're the aliens. They've come down. They've got alien technology. They've done all this stuff, and they've just disappeared off into the sunset and not really left any substantial evidence of alien technology other than a few smooth rocks that fit together. And it's rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. It's so rubbish, like it's so out there that it manages to be sensational enough to sell a few books. And that if you don't follow on with the thinking and get to the end of the thought process, that you might buy into the books and, you know, then they do your thinking for you. The ideas are solved by Graham and his ideas. But it's absolutely rubbish. Joe Rogan presents it on the internet. Graham gets notoriety. He goes on some tours, you know, talks about he's promoting himself and his books, so he gets himself onto something like Joe Rogan, who promotes it further, and it's just this wheel of capitalist. It's a function of capitalist society, that it's a wheel of, I don't want to say trade because there's no real trade going on. It's an economy function. You know, this guy sells books. He needs promoting. The people who promote things need people on their shows because it gets them views, which gets AdSense money, which clicks, which, you know, it's all about just selling stuff through a process of promotion, cross promotion. So this guy has promoted his ideas. It's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong. It's bullshit. It absolutely turns out that back then they knew that acids and alkalines could affect the structure of things like rocks. They knew that you could dissolve things like limestone in sulfuric acid and reconstitute it. You know, and again, I'm not an expert on stone sculpture and chemical reaction, but I do know that you can produce those rocks in the forms and styles and ways they have through a process of chemical reaction. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be aliens, and it doesn't have to be unobtainable to these ancient peoples. It's natural, you know, in the same way as rain corrodes rock. You know, it's just a natural phenomenon, and natural observable phenomenons can be understood even by ancient peoples. So that's what happened, right? The Göbekli Tepe, I've answered that for you, for anyone who's ever watched, out of my 5 viewers, or anyone who watches this on Battery Exhausted, on the YouTube interweb. I've solved Göbekli Tepe for you there, and we can go into further detail. I can search YouTube and learn about rock and, you know, stuff like that. But I'm not going to. If you really want to, if you want to do any further investigation, it's out there for you. And there is evidence that this happened in these sites. There's evidence of limestone and other rocks being dissolved by chemicals deliberately. There's evidence of it, right? So it's answered. We've solved it. It's not aliens. It's absolutely not aliens, right? Right. So I was hoping, this is bringing this back around to what we were talking about with these Australian pictures, is I was hoping that through the use of something like Google, an information resource, and let's just quickly, let's go to the big face so you don't see all the stuff. Let's fade the big face. Right, I'm just going to I'm going to use Google again and search Göbekli Tepe. And again, I'm going to spell it wrong, so Google can fix that for me, because it can do things like that. You know, it can fix your spelling to the own. If you spell it correctly and it's not what Google thinks. If it's not the most popular word, if it's a more, casual, not so understood word, then Google will still try and fix that for you, even if you've got it correct. Anyway, Göbekli Tepe here, look. It's an archaeological site. It says, we're happy that it says that. World's first temple, question mark. What happened 12,000 years ago? UNESCO World Heritage. It's to be restored. They find a hidden pattern. Yeah, there's nothing to suggest how it was built, is there? In Wikipedia, we've got context, discovery, architecture, interpretation, importance, conservation. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. At least it's not telling us some absolute BS. But there's nothing here to, suggest what Graham's saying is the case either, is there? But also, what's a shame is that there's nothing here to tell you exactly what I've just said, which is, the obvious facts of what happened. Some of the floors are made of terrazzo, burned lime. Oh, there's a bedrock. Yeah, nothing's really mentioned. Interpretations. Cathedral on a hill. Cult of the Dead. Neolithic. Belief systems. Importance. There's nothing to say there. Any of that stuff that I've just said. Right. So I was hoping we'd get some sort of, actual historical interpretation. So let's keep pushing for that. That would be, Ancient Origins again. No thanks, you can F off. Going back to Cork. Going back to my meaning and interpretation. Going back to the one that I like. So, Paleolithic scholars continue to debate the meaning of these early prehistoric pictographs. Probably they had a variety of meanings, which varied from region to region. No, this isn't going to tell me either, is it? We want to know about the Bradshaw paintings. Characteristics, dating, chronology, Bradshaw period, elegant action figures. Who painted them? Okay. The term erudite epoch was used by Dr. Walsh to embrace two art periods. Yay! Oh, I love it. We're getting to finally get... This is our first art period, really, isn't it? The prehistoric is our first. And now we've discovered about the erudite epoch. It's a term used by Dr. Walsh to embrace two art periods. One, the Bradshaw period. Oh, the Bradshaws get their own period as well. Divided into tassel figures, sash figures, and elegant action figures. And number two, the clothes peg figure period. He's well into that first period, the erudite epoch. Two art periods, the Bradshaw periods, that's the main one, isn't it? They've got the sash figures, the action figures, and then this other period a bit after, basically, they wanted to bin that one off. They called it the clothes peg figure. It tells you about it, doesn't it? Tells you about it. But it's not so glamorous, the clothes peg figure period. It's believed that distinctive apparel changes indicate the artistic change accompanied a significant and widespread cultural change. Right, got you. So what they're saying is that the changes in the art styles is significant. I don't know how interested you are. No idea what you're talking about. Yeah. Well, this is good because I've no idea what I'm talking about. I'm also learning. I wanted to know all about the art. It's absent in my brain. I should know where all the art came from. I've become capable. In the future, supercomputers are going to know all this stuff, aren't they? And people like me reading it out on the internet are going to be old school. AI is going to be able to just know this, it's going to get confused. Because if artificial intelligence were to read everything on the internet, it would be well confused, because it's going to give it different ideas, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. I just got confused myself then. So let's get back on. We're learning. This is fun, isn't it? Learning's fun. Just like finding out stuff. And what will happen is that this, you won't see it as learning. This won't feel like school. But later on in life, you'll just be watching a quiz show or something will come up, and you'll be able to say, oh yeah, they remind me of the clothes peg figure period, the second part of the erudite epoch, where those tassel figures, sash figures, and elegant action figures were being painted by ancient Aborigines in the Bradshaw period. Hopefully we'll find out some of these things have shorter words attached to them as well that I can say. So yeah, they reckon though that it changed, like culture changed, and during the change in culture, there was a change in rock art. Fair enough. Aboriginal artists showed a clear preference for a certain kind of rock surface. Oh, I see now even more learning. This website, this Cork Arts, Cork as in Ireland, the place. Cork, I might want to go there. I'd love to go there. They really know their stuff, and they're really, just telling it like it is, freely on the internet. Clear preference for a certain kind of rock surface, namely a vertical rock face made of hard, smooth rock. So they were all about their medium, their canvas. They weren't just, no, that rock's all right, but it's got a bit of a bump. They were looking for the right rocks to paint on. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because knowing how people create art these days, how you approach that, a nice piece of paper, a nice blank canvas, that was the same way these artists were supposedly approaching their works some 15, 20,000 years ago. And that also tells us that maybe the work, we've got these cave paintings, and we always assume that these people live in a cave and they've painted all the walls and they're sat there around their campfire telling their stories about how today I nearly got eaten by a dinosaur. There's no dinosaurs. Big old bumpy hoppers, but no dinosaurs. So they're telling their stories to each other, and some chuffers over there just scuffing it up on the, oh, did you? All right, okay, let me, a big jumper hopper? Okay, I've got the big ears. Yeah, got the big ears on. Maybe, someone's chuffing it on the wall or something. But it might not be that. There might have been some fella, some lady, some person of non-specific gender has wandered out into the rocky wilderness to find a really good rock for their thing they've got going on in their idea, in their brain. And then they thought, this is the right one. I can put the figures there, I can put the shapes there, and we'll just start with this. They've approached it in a very similar way to an artist may approach something in today's day and age. And then, of course, once they're finished, they've probably gone back to the tribe and said, look, come with me. Come with me. And they've said, what are we going to go and do? They said, I'm not telling you. Right? This isn't about telling each other things. The old big face got me on the old big face. This isn't about telling each other, what we're going. This is about showing. This is a pictorial culture. So come on, well, it is about telling each other things, isn't it? We've got our old stories they hand down and things like that. Anyway, look, come with me. We're having a look. What are we looking at? I don't want to come out with you around here. It's all just boring rocks. Is it though? Are they all just boring? Because round this one, whoa, Jeff, what have you been doing? Is this where you've been going all afternoon, all week? This is why you've been coming back with that stuff on your hands, isn't it, Jeff? This is amazing. What's that around their heads? Is it a hat? Why have they got that around their eyes, Jeff? What's that supposed to be, Jeff? But that was what was going on. That's what was going on during the erudite epoch. They were painting on these particular rocks. Only on this kind of canvas could they demonstrate the exceptional line work, control, and intricate detail that characterises the typical Bradshaw composition. So it was needed. They needed these smooth rocks because they were doing delicate work. In addition, the focus switched from pictures of animals, or occasionally solitary naked humans, to pictures of elaborately dressed human figures portrayed in groups. The more evocative images that make us think maybe aliens. For the best examples of Aboriginal finger fluting, please see Cunalda cave art. Right, let's see it. The only shame of this website is their images are so small and their adverts are so dominant, but this is some finger fluting in the soft limestone walls. So we're going to have a look at this in big. Let me get you on. I've got a couple of things that we've got to look at now in big. Some Aboriginal finger fluting. He's come up with these Bradshaws again, hasn't it? Bradshaws. You see, if I keep saying the word, you'll remember it, and then it'll be in your brain forever. See, again, this is Ecosia now, so, I'm not complaining about Ecosia because they do such wonderful stuff, but obviously I haven't even searched the right term. I've searched meaning of Bradshaw paintings and not finger fluting. So there's me complaining. Here we are, finger fluting. The long lost art of a vanished civilization. Just looks like kind of primitive stick people, doesn't it? Rock art. I'm guessing that they did it with their hands. Yep. Couldn't load that image. That's finger fluting then. Scratching into rock. It's almost like a graffito, isn't it? I think that's what hang on, I think that's what graffiti means, isn't it? Scratched into rock. Graffito. So now we've got to find out some other things. We've got to find out graffiti, graffito, meaning, because I think that's the original. We know what graffiti is, but what do I want to know? I want to know the etymology of the word, don't I? Yeah, graffiti is writing or drawings made on a wall or other surface. That's not exactly what I'm looking for. I thought the original... Yeah, here we go. Graffito, Wikipedia. Graffito is the singular form of the Italian graffiti, meaning little scratch. There you go, scratches. So that rock fluting really is early graffiti, graffito. And then the other thing I wanted to find was these X-ray Aboriginal figures rock art. I wanted to do some of this. I wanted to have a look at these because we talked about them earlier and we just briefly ran by it. But maybe this is going to have to be a different kettle of fish because look at these. Look at them. I mean, that is not an X-ray for a start. I know they suggest that it is. And you can see there's sort of rudimentary bones, maybe a rib cage, but no, that's not X-rays. That's not how my bones are in my legs. That's not how my bones are in my spine, and I mean, it's really roughly it is, but no, it's not. I mean, there's something about it, isn't there? Like, there's some kind of mechanical... you can see there's joints where they've put these markers to say like joints. They know there's a difference between the arms, the hands, the fingers, the segments of spine, the rib bones. They appear to be correct, but then there's this crisscrossing of the muscles in the legs, and it's a really Really, there's no pelvis, no pelvic bones there. The skull is just what's going on there. It's really bizarrely simplified in some places. I mean, is this again? I always find myself coming back to this question of: is this somebody's? Is this somebody's? What do you call it? Like style? Is this somebody's graffiti style? Is this just one person in the tribe is well into their bone style shapes, and they're the one that's doing the drawing, or is this something more important? Shifting cultures changed the way they were painting. Maybe that suggests, maybe the shifting cultures changing the form of art suggests that it's more stylistic. Aboriginal X-ray painting again. This one is more clearly an X-ray, and a very wow. Okay, so what's insane about this one is that it's more like an X-ray that you would recognise, but they would never have the technology. Even if they could cut an animal open and see what's inside it, they wouldn't have the technology to visualise that as a cross-section in the same way as we do with an X-ray. And we take it for granted when we see a cross-section of the human body or an animal body on the X-ray, that you know where these organs are and where they're supposed to be, and so you're like, oh, that must be the thing, and that must be the this, and it's just shapes on the X-ray, but you're like, in your brain, you're like, that's the lungs or whatever. But this appears to be, they've got the bits connecting in the right places. Strange shapes in places as well, but really interesting, isn't it? And it's got a spine all the way from neck to tail. There's a lot of information in there that seems to be quite sophisticated. On that giant buffer hopper. Very similar. Gone for the spine again. They're interested in that spine, aren't they? The nerves. Okay, we're going to go diversion again, and I'm going to just divert to something else now. And this is art lesson. We have done what I wanted to today, which is we've looked at the Aboriginal rock art. We've learned more about it. We've tried to understand it more, as little as we can, and we've decided that it's probably not aliens, that it probably is early humans and their ideas that have produced these images. So that's good. We're happy with that. And I was going to go on a diversion, but now I forgot what my diversion was. Oh, I forgot that. The big hopper. Oh yeah, this is it. This will blow your mind. This is mind blowing. Right. So what I want to see is spinal nerve. On the images. This is not. I kind of want a real, like. I want to see the fluid. And I also want to compare it to dark matter, cosmic. It's not going to bring it up, is it? Lanes. This will do it. Right. This is bringing up what I wanted. One end of it. These are visualizations of dark matter. And dark matter is not completely understood by physics, but it exists in our universe, in our space world, and they kind of believe that these corridors of dark matter, see those light parts. I might be wrong here. I might be misinterpreting this particular image, but these light areas are like planets, universes, star systems, where there's a lot of matter sort of coagulated together, and they appear to be connected by these corridors of dark matter, right? It's a really complex. Someone from Germany, hi, hello. I wanted to say hello in German, but I've forgotten if I can sprechen Sie Deutsch. But yeah, it's not even totally understood. Yeah, agreed. Like, not even totally understood. But there's these ideas about this dark matter. Yeah. Hello. Hello. And we've got, that's dark matter. Yeah, not understood, but it's vast. It's on these scales. They're the stars, little teeny. Each one of those little tiny stars is a sun. It's on these scales, vast scales, and these cosmic lanes. The way that's a visualization of a universe before the Big Bang or something. Like the way it creates these. Going back to this one, because I like this one. These lanes, this structure, yeah. The way that forms and is formed is very similar to the way the brain and the nerves and the information is processed and sent through. So let's see if I can get this. Nerve, brain, information, structure. I'm finding it difficult to get an image that says what I'm trying to say. Maybe this how neurons work. I mean, I know that obviously dark matter is a tiny thing compared to dark energy. Yes, agreed. Again, dark energy exists as well, and we're not sure about what's going on there. And I'm not saying that neurons are the same as dark matter. I'm not saying they are the same thing. I'm saying that structurally, it's really interesting to see the similarities, and we don't know exactly about how neurons work and stuff like that. And I think that brain folding 3D surface area. There's something in the way the brain increases its surface area by creating folds physically. I might just be getting off course again. I might just be getting, getting confused. Structures of, I want to see structures of neurons. And I want them like dark matter. There was a really good video by this dude, Anton, on YouTube, who talks about this. So, human brain neural network. There we go. That's a good one. Look, this is it. That's what I'm trying to say. On the right, we've got the human brain neural network. I'm going to have to just fade out of that for a second so I can move it around for you. Fade back in. And on the left, we've got the cosmic web of dark matter and stuff. So you can see what I'm trying to say is there is a visual similarity in the structures of both things. Yeah, Anton Petrov. Yeah, exactly. It's nice having somebody who can write words like the matter in the universe consists of filaments and voids. It's like, write things that I can't. I'm just going to have to quickly switch the battery on the camera. So we are T-. Scott's going to disappear and reappear. You're going to just disappear and reappear while you look at those neural networks. Just change the battery. Battery's out. Battery's in. Other people don't use things like this. Other people use normal setups, webcams and things. I've got cameras with batteries that are now disconnected, but hopefully it'll just say, oh, connect, won't it? Just connect. Exactly, the battery is exhausted. That's why I called my channel Battery Exhausted, because so often I was seeing that on the screen every time I was trying to create content. Come on. Remote. Yeah, we're back, aren't we? That's us, we're back. Okay. Oh, the battery needs to go on charge. Ahoy hoy. So yeah, we've got neural networks and we've got our dark matter, and I've now got to use my brain to say why this has got anything to do with what we're talking about. Why does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? I'm pretty sure I was looking at some sort of Aboriginal art and it looked like it resembled that somewhere. But I've lost it. I've lost it, haven't I? Let's have a look at this again. Aboriginal art. This is just straight up Aboriginal art now, not ancient Aboriginal art. Loads of dots and colours. I want the ancient. It was the X-ray paintings, wasn't it? Ancient X-ray paintings. That's where we came from. And why has that got anything to do with the dark matter? Scotty Hottie can't remember. I can't remember. But I tell you what, I switched the battery, which means we've done the full hour, which means I'm happy with how we're progressing on stream. You know, it's new to me, so it's not like I'm going to just sit down every day for 10 hours a day and be on stream. That's just like, too much too soon. But I'm happy that we're progressing, and like, this is a daytime stream now. Daytime stream, so we're coming online more often. We're getting there. Aboriginal art, X-rays, the spine. It'll all come back to me when I watch this back in the edit. But until then, I've got no idea why I was referencing dark matter. Why was I referencing dark matter? I don't know, I thought maybe they painted something that was like it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't. Where's my learning page? Where's my learning page? Where's my page with my bits of learning? This one, isn't it? We can learn about Dr. Graham Walsh as well, who during the 1980s and 90s studied the region and the pictures, crisscrossed Australia, taking thousands of photos, meticulously compiling research, released 2 seminal books, Australia's Greatest Rock Art in 1988 and Bradshaw's Ancient Rock Paintings 1994. Unfortunately, he was over-influenced by the apparent cultural uniqueness. As a result, he refused to believe Bradshaws were created by ancestors. Here we go again. Do you see what I mean? Oh, my days. So this guy, Dr. Graham Walsh, who in the 80s and 90s, so that's not so long ago, that's recent times where they've got photographs and televisions. He's going around Australia. He's recording all of these rock art. He's seeing them all firsthand. He's getting really good photographs of them. He's sitting down. He's thinking about them. He's writing books, compiling books, which are probably just picture books, to be fair, with a bit of chat thrown in. I'm not slating. Maybe he did write really interesting, long narratives. But if I was out there taking 10,000 pictures, I'd be, just get them in the book, put the pictures. I don't need to write anything. Get it out there. Look. But sadly, because the style emerged fully formed, as if imported from abroad, and because it bore little resemblance to the Wan Ninja tradition that followed. So because they're kind of interesting and unique, he refused to believe that they were created by ancestors of present-day Aboriginal people. So you find rock art in a cave on the rocks, in Australia. You date it with your modern techniques. You know it's old, really old, right? Really old. And I'm talking like original people old. Like the first people moved into Australia, 40,000 BC on rudimentary boats from South Asia. And we're talking Polynesian tribal, old, yeah? They painted these things on the walls, and they're quite good. They're not like the paintings of other cultures, maybe. They're in their own style. And the cultures that follow, as we said, there was an explosion in art across Australia, and a cultural, not just explosion, but like change, evolution, revolution. Things were quickly changing culturally, and that's reflected in the art. So because of that, uh, you're like, you know what? These can't possibly have been painted by these original people that were the only people that were here. Like, they were the only people there. There was no one else there. What do you think it was? Aliens? Is it aliens now again? We're going back to aliens? Is that what we're saying? I mentioned dark matter. I'm into science. Yeah, thinking science, interesting stuff, isn't it? Good. And since it talks about our brain, you may certainly put a poem in the chat. The chat is yours to share. Yes, certainly. The brain is wider than the sky. For put them side by side, the one will contain the other with ease. And you, beside. The brain is deeper than the sea. For hold them, blue to blue, the one the other will absorb, as sponges, buckets do. The brain is just the weight of God. For heft them, pound for pound, and they will differ, if they do, a syllable from sound. It's quite interesting. Isn't it nice that thoughts about science and thoughts about thinking and the way we think and the infrastructure of our thoughts, like the physical squashy stuff, yield such evocative and romantic language that is so spectrally removed from the concepts of science. And isn't it amazing how science and these sort of strict logistical disciplines exist to understand something like nature, which in itself is so evocative and beautiful and mysterious. And isn't that like that's okay? Mind blowing again. Clip this one. It's just that we use such analytical and dry and clinical devices to attempt to describe something which in its simplest form provokes and invokes such emotional responses. And there's no science to, even though there is definitely a science to neuropsychology, and someone will one day find out the exact scientific formula basis background for our emotional responses. Yeah, but to us they're still going to feel like emotions. They're not going to feel like switches. Yeah. I wonder if that's how artificial intelligence will view the world, through its mechanically structured, through its mechanism, I wonder if it will create something more beautiful than the mundane that's used to create it. I wonder whether the thoughts of artificial intelligence will be romantic and poetic. I wonder whether the thoughts of artificial intelligence will become romantic and poetic, because our thoughts are, and they're in response to the world around us, and it is science, it is nature, it is physics, it is, all these things, isn't it? When we look into it and dig into it and learn about it, it becomes it literally becomes lines of code, in some ways, doesn't it? And yet those lines of code can produce the experiences, our fears, our joys, everything in between are created through the squashy mechanism. Yeah, that's mental. Physically, literally, I wasn't saying it's mad. I'm saying that's anyway. So Australian art was not even accepted by the man who went out to Australia to discover it and tell us all and wrote the books. The guy who wrote the book thought it wasn't possible that they produced it. Well, I think it was possible they produced it. I think it was. During the erudite epoch. There we go. We've got Bradshaws. Different kinds of Bradshaws. So I think, having talked now for an hour and a half about this, I think this is a good point to leave it on hiatus. It's given us a lot to think about. And our next diversion stream can be about these Bradshaws. We can have more of a look into the Bradshaws, because there's not a lot of images here. Maybe I should collect a few images up so we can look at them. Because looking at pictures is the good bit, isn't it? Oh, I see, look here. Look, that's a Bradshaw on the left, and that's a Wangina on the right. I can see why they're quite different. And I can see why someone would have said, look, these aren't the same people who are doing this. But then again, look at how graffiti has changed in a short space of time. Look how art itself is so different in so many cultures. It's so easy to vary your ideas artistically. But yeah, so we'll come on to that next art stream. We'll have a look at those figures. Maybe even paint some ourselves. Although I would need a really large flat bit of rock, or there's loads of flat bits of rock, there's buildings. Do you know what? I would love to be a graffiti artist, but I really wouldn't want the police to be turning up at my house and saying things like, did you do this? Can you come with us? So that's why I've abstained from graffiti. But this is already starting to make me feel like I should be reinterpreting the Bradshaws and using the large flat plains of rock buildings as the... Should I say this? No, I shouldn't. Maybe don't do that. But it's there, isn't it, as inspiration for people. I'd have to move to Australia to really make it work, wouldn't I? Oh, look, here's some questions as well. Look, could that be a rudder 16,000 years before rudders were believed to be invented? Could they be keels? If so, how was flatwood attached? Probably aliens, isn't it? This is written by Graham Walsh. Is that the same dude that I was talking about? 404 not found. That's just final. Our final thing is just, let's see who this Graham, and then go Becky Tepe. Is he the same guy? Graham Hancock. So it's not the same guy, Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock, Magicians of the Gods, is the one who thinks that magic and aliens produced simple reformed rock structures that we know ancient cultures can make with limestone and acids. He's the one that talks rubbish on Joe Rogan, so don't worry about him. Graham Hancock. And yeah, what I need to do now is I need to get some lunch, I think. Yeah, no, I don't want the police at my house, yeah. Definitely don't. Yeah. They think they can do what they like, don't they? They think they own the place. Yeah. And we have learned, haven't we? I mean, I should be able to tell you what these are. I've just learned the word. It was a whammo. Oh, come on. We just learned what they are. We just the two different styles, weren't they? That's Mungo Man. Graham Walsh has written this for us. A wand Gina. Wand-gina. Bradshaw sounds nicer, doesn't it? You'd much rather have your work in the Bradshaw exhibition than the Wand-gina exhibition, wouldn't you? But yeah, the Bradshaws are those figures that are dancing and all that, and the Wand-ginas are the ones that look like mad acid trip aliens. I said it then. They're not aliens. They're not. And that's what we've learned today. So thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. I endeavour to edit these streams to a more consumable format on Battery Exhausted, but not everything will get edited for that. The entire stream will be dumped on Ganji Kid on YouTube as an archive, and we will continue on flying. Shall I just quickly switch to big face so we can fly like Superman? Sorry, chat, you're getting disappeared as well. That's big face. Let's disappear the chat. Fly like you can't fade between the two. Right now, finally, we can fly like Superman into the future, like super people into the future, and that's what's going to happen on this stream. More art history, because unlike everyone else on Twitch, I honestly believe that we can make art history popular through a combination of interesting exploration like we're doing and regular upload. Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can get that happening. I'm glad you've been with us, both Onyx Gamer and Saint Just Germany. I think it's really important that in these early stages your voice is heard, and I thank you for engaging and giving us something to talk about together. So yeah, I thank you for that. So be good, my little puckos. Be good. My tummy rumbled then. Quick, it's time to go and get some cake. You be good.